98.5. We have our friends on YouTube tonight. What's up, YouTube fam? Feel free to chat in. I'll read some of your chats. But real quick, when it comes to the Celtics right now, I think their biggest issue is their coach. Outside of Jaylen Brown not playing at his potential or playing to a level that he did last year, those are issues number 1 and 2 on the team long term. Joe Mazzulla, Jaylen Brown. There's been times this year where Mazzulla says, stick together, while Jaylen Brown has talked about doing different things. I think those things can somehow alter what the team is ultimately trying to do this year. But when it comes to last night's loss, this is problem number 3. Fourth quarters. It's not about being closers. It's not about closing games. But I feel as though Mazzulla ball, when they play at their best, is front running, which you can look at as a good thing or a bad thing. I know some people like to use the word as a bad thing. But I think that Mazzulla ball, when they play that style, they're unbeatable and teams tap out, which is what they used to be. This year's version is not last year's team. They do look older. There are issues when it comes to substitutions, and clearly Jaylen Brown is not the same guy. Maybe the bench isn't as good, but for the most part, this team's still top 5 defense and offense. But for last night's loss, I blame Joe Mazzulla. There were defensive breakdowns. Even having Luke Cornett on the floor in a late situation is a problem. That's on Mazzulla. And Mazzulla was completely out-coached last night by Ime Udoka. Mazzulla whiffed on a couple of things. And when it comes to the 2 final defensive plays, I'm glad Mazzulla said it was on him, because he's the one who instructed Cornett and Brown on what to do. And essentially, Udoka pulled the okie dokie on him. They fell for it twice and got behind Cornett. Again, Cornett being on the court is a Mazzulla problem, not a Cornett problem, despite the fact that Porzingis had 5 fouls, Tillman was terrible, Kata couldn't play, and there was no Al Horford. But they blew another double-digit lead. They now have 9 blown leads of double digits this year. It was also at home. If the Celtics hold a 12-point lead in the fourth quarter with 8 minutes to go, they should win the game. Instead, they've been collapsing. And last night, the Rockets outscored the Celtics 25-11 to close out the game. Houston hit 9 of its 15 shots. They shot 60% during that stretch. They went 2 for 4 from 3. All 9 were assisted on. Something when you look at the numbers with the Celtics, when they have under 30 assists a night, they struggle to win games. The Celtics made just 4 of its 14 attempts late last night. With that 12-point lead, they went 1 for 7 from 3. They shot 28% from the field. And quite frankly, I blame Jaylen Brown for those shooting woes. Jason Tatum was double-teamed. He had to pass it out of situations, and when they did pass out of situations, Jaylen Brown shot the basketball. He didn't slow things down, didn't try to work it out or try to get it back to Tatum, or even look inside for that matter. He took the shots and went 0 for 5. Now, I also want to put some blame on Jason Tatum. 0 points in the first half is completely unacceptable, but I also want to put that on Mazzulla. 0 points in the first half. The 6 minutes he didn't play last night, I believe Skaz had this note that they were a minus 13. They couldn't score. Brown had 28 points, was the leading scorer. They lose. I also mentioned 0 for 5 down the stretch. The talent's there. They can win by just their philosophy and numbers alone. That will keep them in the conversation of NBA Finals. But there are times where Joe Mazzulla gets outcoached. And quite frankly, it's all on the defensive end and in the fourth quarters. And keeping games close, maybe there is something to what Gary Washburn said maybe a month ago saying that teams don't fear them anymore. You certainly didn't see the Rockets fear the Celtics last night. When the Celtics were up double digits last night, they got tougher. They shot better. They had better quality shots. They looked to Dylan Brooks and Amen Thompson. But let me give you some of these numbers quickly. I mentioned the 9th fourth quarter lead. 7 of those 9 came at home. Allowing Dylan Brooks to shoot 10 of 15 from 3 last night when he was shooting 31% coming into the game is completely unacceptable on the defensive end. But the fourth quarter struggles, it's now a trend. It's now persistent. In their 15 losses this year, they rank last in the NBA in field goal percentage. They're 26th in three-point percentage. Their offensive rating is 22nd in the league. They're even worse defensively, 29th defensive rating. Opponents are shooting 53% against the Celtics in the fourth quarter in all of their losses. Teams are shooting 47% from 3. Best in the league. Where did the defense go? And when I bring up Mazzulla and when I bring up Jaylen Brown, when I saw Ime Udoka last night, they played defense. They made Jason Tatum work to get out of double teams. They made the Celtics take bad shots. They played defense. I feel like Jaylen Brown wants to be a team known as a defensive team, yet when you look at the stats last night, the Rockets and Celtics both shot the same amount of threes, or at least around the same percentage. Free throws, same. Rebounds, the same. In the end, it came down to defense and making plays. The Celtics with a 12-point lead, their stars, one of them got shut down, the other one went over. It was defense and coaching. And I feel like that's the biggest issue for the Celtics this year. I feel like they've lost that edge when it comes to defending, but also knocking down shots when it matters. So, although they have the best roster in the NBA, I think at times their coach does get in the way. The philosophy, the statistics, the analytics, it gets in the way. You had a 12-point lead at home and you blew it again for the 9th time this year. I'm starting to at least admit this is not the same team as a year ago. During this stretch, we've seen it twice now. When they come back from a road trip, they lose. They lost to Sacramento, and last night they lost to Houston. I blame that stuff on coaching. And I'm starting to wonder how important is Joe Mazzulla to all this. I love his mindset. I love his antics. At times, he leans hard into the analytics. But late in the game, Ime Udoka leaned on defense and getting the ball to his best players. The Celtics couldn't do that last night. And to me, I blame that on coaching. And when it came to actually getting a stop, 2 stops, by the way, it was the coach who advised the players what to do, and the other coach out-schemed them. All those things happened in the final minute of the game last night. But it's a trend now. It's been a persistent issue. And now, every team's going to give them their best. I don't think teams are going to fear the Celtics in coming into the Garden anymore. So that's why I say their philosophy of Mazzulla ball, it does work when you make stops and hit your shots late in games. It's something they haven't done. And these big losses, they're getting worse. We'll leave it there at 617-779-0985. I'll hear what Skaz has to say about that. But some of the shooting woes down the stretch. Woof. Woof. We'll take a quick break. I'm Joe Murray. Also want to get into the Patriots. They made some coaching moves today, and wow, their quarterback made the Pro Bowl. My initial reaction I'll give you coming up in just a little bit. And, well, we'll get more into the Celtics. 7 of their last 9 losses have come at home, and they were fourth quarter blown leads. Are you concerned? We'll get into that coming up here on the other side. I'm Joe Murray here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
More Joe Murray coming up on the Sports Hub.
Not good at all. Getting in on the Celtics, I'm just noticing a trend. And small C concern, I'm not there yet. But I am at least coming around on the fact that although I like Joe Mazzulla and I like his mindset, he leans into the analytics. Some people don't like it. Some of his bizarre comments, like I kind of like that aspect of it, right? Like he's not your typical NBA coach. He thinks outside the box. He certainly challenges the players. He has them watching different things to stay motivated. Like there's a lot of things when it comes to the coach this year where I look at the team as, it's really hard to grind through the regular season. It's hard to repeat, and I'm sure he's coming up with different ways. There's been weird, whether it's substitutions, lineups, you name it, where at times I'm like, what are they doing right now? And I know it's a long season, so they're trying different things. Like right now, Springer's coming into the game to give him defense, and maybe they're trying to showcase him as well to move on from some money. He makes $4 million a year. If they can somehow unload him, that's $40 million off the long-term luxury tax. So maybe that's something they're doing. Another one is Xavier Tillman can't play. It's not that he's a bad basketball player. It's just in this offense, he's taking threes. He's on the perimeter. Like, that's not his game. He's a big man. That's what he did at Memphis, and he was good at it. And this was a dude that started in the playoffs against the Lakers 2 seasons ago. And now he can't even be a pick-and-roll defender. Or if Al Horford surprisingly gets scratched before a game, which I still don't understand any of that. And by the way, last night, Kristaps Porzingis and his 5 fouls. Normally that never happens. And one of his technicals got rescinded today. But it really hampered the team when it came to their big men. But what I'm noticing is Tillman can't play. And although people want to get on Cornette, I thought he had a really good night last night. But the Cornette defense last night, Mazzulla took the blame for it. And I agree. I agree with it. A, he shouldn't be out there. B, he was coached up on what to do. And Mazzulla's the one who coached him up on it. And Udoka had the better scheme there. There are a couple of games this year where I look at it and say outcoached. The one game where I won't is the Atlanta game a couple of days, a week or so ago. The Celtics were up 3 with like 20 seconds left in the game. They turned it over. Drew Holiday turned it over. Jason Tatum missed free throws. Like, they blew that game. That was on the players. That wasn't on Mazzulla. Of late, though, where is the defense? Where is the defense? Like, are these guys sticking so hard on trying to knock down shots that they just refuse to play defense anymore? And there were times last night where I actually saw Jaylen Brown look invested in the game, but yet he let Dylan Brooks get the best of him, and I hated the quote. His quote after the game, nobody would have expected Dylan Brooks to hit 10 threes, but he did tonight. We'll live with it. You have to be better than that. Jaylen Brown, I don't think, is taking any accountability for not performing the way he did last year. Instead, he talks about it's injuries, it's a grind, he's being asked to do different things. Jaylen, don't go 0 for 5 when Tatum passes you the ball because he's double-teamed. And how come the ball never swings back around the Tatum after that? Tatum with 0 points in the first half, maybe it was coaching on the other end of it. I blame Mazzulla for not giving him the ball and his usage rate and et cetera, which we've talked about. When Tatum's usage rate is down, generally they lose the game. But going 0 for 5, dude? And then talking about nobody expected Dylan Brooks, defend him. There are other numbers from last night that are staggering, and I gave you this is the Celtics record, December 7th, right? Since December 7th, the Celtics are 13-11. And I'm pretty big on 3-point attempts. The numbers are going down by month. But let me just give you this to be consistent on it, because I know there are people who have contradicting thoughts and different thoughts on the 3-point attempts. But when they take fewer than 45 threes since December 7th, they're 5-4. When they take 45 to 49, they're 4-3. And when taking 50 or more this year, they're 4-4. So, the 3-point attempts, the difference in their wins and losses? No. And I'm going to stand by that. But not playing defense and shooting poorly in the fourth quarter? Can you choose one? Like if you're gonna shoot 0 for 5, Jaylen Brown, can you at least defend on the other end? They're doing neither of those. Either of those, excuse me. Celtics' 9th blown fourth quarter lead this season. It matches last season's total. It's the 7th time blowing a 10-point lead this season. They had 8 all of last year. It's right now, again, I'm not concerned. But if I had to point the finger, oh yeah, I'm pointing the finger at Joe Mazzulla. I did want to just touch on Drake May becoming a Pro Bowler. It's laughable to me. And it just shows that it doesn't matter. Like, is it really honorable that Drake May made the Pro Bowl this year? And I'm giving you the smirk because I remember when Mac Jones went and people made a big deal about it. And, oh, this is great for Mac Jones. And, oh, he'll be able to work with some of the great players at the Pro Bowl. Instead, he did the gritty and everybody hated him. This whole Pro Bowl thing's a joke, so I don't even know why I'm really spending time on it, but that was my original reaction. Not honorable. Who cares? And then I started to think, well, if there is one player who could benefit from the extra reps and being around the best players in the league, isn't it Drake May? Like, isn't he the best advocate that the New England Patriots have? The other thing is, Drake May might find out what it is to actually work with players that are good, right? So I guess really any negative here is just us looking at the Pro Bowl as it's not what it once was. But I do think this is beneficial. He's not really dealing with any injuries that we know of. He can't work out with the team until mini camps. And there's going to be free agents there. There's going to get guys who get cut. Like, I think it's good for Drake May to rub elbows with some of these players around the league, and maybe there's people who open up their eyes like, oh, I want to play with that guy. I feel like there's only a positive in it, but at the same time, is it honorable? Hell no. And did I laugh about it, and is the whole thing a joke? Yes. Am I concerned about an injury at the Pro Bowl? Absolutely. I'll never forget Robert Edwards. I know they're not playing beach volleyball, but still. I'll always think of that when it comes to a Patriot at a Pro Bowl. It's meaningless. Finally, the coaching staff for the Patriots, I will admit, is improved. No doubt about it. I still find it odd that most of the coaches on the offensive side are Mike Vrabel guys, not Josh McDaniel guys, but we don't have to do the who wanted McDaniels, Kraft, or Vrabel conversation. Overall, the staff's improved. 4 former head coaches on the staff. The other thing I found